It is a joy for me to share about our first term in the exotic country of Thailand. Next slide, please. This is a picture of the plane that flew us across the Pacific Ocean to our destination, the exotic land of Siam. Next slide, please. Here we are boarding the plane as we depart the United States for our new home in the tropics. Next slide, please. Paula took this picture of me looking out for the last time at our beloved United States. It reminded me of a hymn we sang back in our church in Oklahoma. This world is not my home, we're just a passing through. Next slide, please. Our first taste of delicious Oriental food on the plane. Sorry, must have got my finger in the photo. Wish you could have seen the delicious food that they served us. What a colorful presentation it was. Next slide, please. Next slide, please. I said, next slide, please. Next slide, please. Seem to be having some technical difficulty here. Oh, okay, we got it fixed. This is the view outside the window of our plane. If you squint a bit, you can see Diamond Head in Hawaii in the upper left-hand corner. Next slide, please. Here we are deboarding the plane. Next slide, please. Next slide, please. I'm afraid someone pulled the plug. Could we have the lights put on, please? Could someone help us out here? Never mind. We seem to have fixed the problem. Next slide, please. We were met at Don Mueang Airport in Bangkok by Somded. That is him leaning over getting our baggage. The man in the background is Tirat, or maybe that's Ajahn Gop. No, it is Tirat. Oh, how I wish I had time to tell you about Mr. Tirat. What a story he has. Next slide, please. The Thai fields are truly white unto harvest. Next slide, please. Here is a picture of our OMF supervisor and his wife. Sorry about that. Next slide, please. This is a rare photo of the outside of a famous Buddhist temple there in central Thailand. Next slide, please. This is another angle of that temple complex. Note the hopelessness on the faces of those seeking merit there in the temple. Next slide, please. Another rare photo of the same Buddhist temple, but this time from inside the temple. Next slide, please. Here is another angle of the same temple. Next slide, please. Notice the happy faces of the Thai as they watch a viewing of the Jesus movie. You'll notice Ruchila, who is on the, first, second, third, fourth, fifth, sixth row, and 4th from the left. She has such an interesting testimony, but I don't have time to tell it all to you now. maybe on my next furlough. Next slide, please. This is a picture of our first upcountry bus trip to Tatago on the famous 99 bus route, or was it 66 bus route? I'm afraid this slide was put in backwards. Next slide, please. This picture is from the window of that 99 bus. And if you look carefully in the upper left-hand corner, you will see a cluster of bamboo huts, which is our destination for ministry. Next slide, please. We did have a slight 8-hour delay on our next bus that we took. Next slide, please. As you can see, our gifted coworker, Roland, is a wonderful chalk artist and can really attract Thai people to this very colorful chalk rendering of the gospel. Next slide, please. It was with deep sadness that we had to say goodbye to this land of smiles after 4 years on the field. Let this picture of the sun slowly sinking into the western sky remind you to pray for the Dinkins family as we adjust to life back in the United States.